Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. This video today is kind of a little different than what I will normally be putting up on this channel. This is going to be kind of a hybrid between a book review and just sort of a book discussion. So I just finished the series on the Bones of Gods by Kate Eason. If you haven't checked out my review of that, it's the last video I put up. My first video was just kind of an introduction to the channel, but feel free to check that out if you want to. So I just finished On the Bones of God by Kate Eason, which was a really good series. And if you're watching this video because of the Vagrant specifically, I really recommend those books by Kate Eason because they're pretty similar. They're kind of different, kind of more the quirky, different type of dark fantasy book that Peter Newman writes. And they were just really good, which was really surprising because they were something that I found on Kindle Unlimited. So definitely check those out. They're definitely worth it. They're free if you are a Kindle Unlimited subscriber like I am. So after I finished those books, I was kind of in a lull. I was looking for a book to read, and I'm never without a book in my hand, so if I'm looking for another book and I'm not finding one, I'm probably rereading one that I've already read. So, like I said, the books by Kate Eason kind of reminded me a little bit of Vagrant, just kind of the same sort of different writing style. So I thought, hey, it's been close to a year, so we'll go ahead and pick up the Vagrant again. And I was quickly reminded why I loved that book so much. The first time I read the book, it took me probably a little over a week to read it. It's not a super long book. I can't remember how many pages it is, 400, something like that, so not super long. And you're not weighted down by a lot of descriptions and a lot of fancy words and everything. The words, just about every word in the book has a purpose. So it's actually a pretty quick read. So my second time through, when I kind of knew what was happening, I didn't have to kind of stop and absorb anything. I didn't have to check to make sure I hadn't missed anything. I wasn't slowing down because I was enjoying the book so much. It didn't take me very long. Like, I was really surprised. In like 3 days, I was like done. Just casual reading. So it's just that good. I just eat it up. It's so good. So I wanted to talk about this book because when I read books, which I'm reading books all the time, most of the books that I read are mediocre. I will not finish a book if it is not good. 3 stars, it has to be at least 3 stars or I will not finish it. Sometimes I've read 2-star books because there's one character in them that's interesting enough that I will skim the book to find out what happens to this character, but the rest of the book is garbage. But I don't waste my time with books like that very often because there are too many good books out there. And just like the books I just read by Kate Eason, sometimes they're hard to find. So the books that I consider 5-star books, I've been reading for a long time. I've kind of been stuck and pigeonholed myself into the fantasy genre. Very rarely venture outside of it, so I've read a lot of fantasy books, but I think I have maybe 5 or 6 that I can say had really impactful characters who have made such an impression on my life that I think about them sometimes. I find myself picking up a book and looking for characters similar to them, and this character is one of them. This is one of those books where I had seen it floating around. It continuously was being recommended to me by the system, and the cover just caught my eye every time. I was like, "Ooh, what's this?" And I would look at it and read the description, and it was just so strange sounding. I didn't think I would like it. It it fit into my fantasy pigeonhole, but the main character is mute. The other characters mentioned are a baby and a goat, and I just thought it was just gonna be so out there, and I thought it might be childish. Does the goat speak? How do we get to know this character that does not speak? How is that gonna work? So I would constantly just, I don't want to read that, and it would just keep popping up. That dang cover, man, Peter Newman, you did a good job with that cover, because it just, every time I saw it, I was like, oh, what's that? So finally, I was looking for a book, and I just was like, it sounds kind of interesting. I'll try it. I see it all the time. The cover's awesome. I'll try it. Oh my gosh. I think I was like a few pages in, just like a quick read before I sat down to supper, and I was like, this is the book. This is it. And though the excitement that you feel when you find a book like that is just unmatchable for me. And there's another series that nobody knows about that is my favorite books of all time, and I will have to do a review on them because more people need to read these books. It was like that. The book starts out with this character who is my favorite character of all time, and within just a few pages of reading, I was like, this is the book. This is it. So immediately was drawn into this character and just like sucked in. And I don't know what it is about characters like this. I oftentimes see reviews about characters that people just can't get into. They just can't relate to them. They don't understand why they do the things they do. They're not personable. Those are the characters that I love, and I don't know why those types of characters really draw me to them. Maybe that's the kind of person I am. I just relate so well to them. So I read, I think that was the review that finally got me to pick up the book, was this person that said, he does things, and like he's this really driven, really good individual, and then he does things that are not good, and you're like, why do you do that? And I was like, I'm gonna love this guy. And lo and behold, I did. It's just the interactions with him and the rest of the cast really brings this character to life. So the side characters are very important in this book and very enjoyable. The baby in the book is good. She adds a ton to the story. She's probably the reason that you get to know the Vagrant character, so well. And then you pick up another character in the book whose name is Harm, and he is the sidekick, the companion, and later on in the series is more than that to the Vagrant. And then there's the goat, and she is just this incredible animal she just adds that extra background fluff, and I cannot say enough good things about this book. But the Vagrant character just really drew me in because he is by himself. He is resourceful and very smart. He is quiet and determined, and the love he has for this baby is just like heartstrings, just plays him like a fiddle. It really grows on you, and the added depth of the choppiness of the writing. It's not really choppy. It is a little choppy. I take that back. It is a little choppy, and it took me a while to get into it at first because, we're used to these authors who have this flowing graceful prose, and this is not it, but it fits the world, it fits the character so well that it's kind of choppy. And if you can't get into that, you need to listen to the audiobook, because it was the audiobook, it was the person who read the book, and I can't remember what his name is, but it was him and the way that he flowed the book that really helped me get a feel for the cadence of the story, and it's just incredible. I have all 3 books on audiobook, and I listen to them often, just because it's so well done. And I'm very picky on the readers of audiobooks, but he does a really good job. I wish I could remember his name. But anyway, so once you kind of get into the flow of the book and see how that kind of fits into the story, it's just like the books by Kate Eason. They were so differently written, and this is so differently written. There just is no extra fluff to the story at all, and it fits so good with the story because it is so raw, and it's just, I don't know how to explain it. It just fits well. So you get to see this character who is clearly exhausted and troubled and determined to do whatever it takes to keep this baby safe. And all of these questions that popped up as we start to learn about this character, they all get answered, and that really is good, but it doesn't happen as you're reading. It happens in stages. So you read what's happening in the present, and then you go back 8 years, and it catches you up a little bit, and then you move forward with the present, and then you come up a little bit, and it literally comes up to directly when the book starts. That's where the last flashback is. So every question that you're gonna have is gonna get answered. You just have to be patient. And Peter Newman does not explain anything to you. It's up to you to have these questions and then see the answers to them as they come, because they are there, but it's not explained to you at all. You just have to be keeping a running tally in your head. And I love books like that. To me, that's like active reading. It's like, oh, so I'll give you an example. In the book, the baby is very fussy. She's crying and he can't get her to stop. So he wears this coat, and in one of the pockets, the baby's digging around, she finds a lock of hair. And she sucks on this lock of hair and she is quiet. So then the kind of light bulb goes on in your head and you go, whose hair is that? Is that her mother's? Is that her mother's hair? I wonder. And then you find out whose hair it is in one of the flashbacks later. So I know it's frustrating for people to not have like a roadmap, and this one definitely does not, but I promise your questions will all be answered. So like I said, it's a really fast moving book. It does not sit anywhere. It's just moving all the time. Lots of movement, lots of action. It is a dark fantasy. I think the creatures in the world are a little creepy maybe, but I didn't think anything was really too dark. It's a little sad, but as far as darkness goes, I don't think it's really too dark. Maybe I'm just really desensitized because I read a lot of dark fantasy, and I've read some that are pretty depressing. This can be a little depressing, but it's also very uplifting. There were lots of parts in the story that really just are very sweet, and they kind of make up for the sadness. And the first time that the Vagrant speaks is just like, you're just like, yeah. So obviously I'm very excited talking about this character. I just really love him. I think those characters that we read about and they mean something to us and they make an impact on our lives are really the special ones, and this is one of the special ones. And if you think I'm excited now, you just wait until I do my review of my very favorite books. you won't be able to stand me. I'll be so excited about talking about that character. But I know that The Vagrant does not get the traffic that it should because it is so different. And yes, it's different. But please, if you like really strong characters, really active reading, you have to check it out. It's really good. I promise you, you will get used to the writing style. It didn't take me long. It's not terrible. It's just a little choppy. It's a little jarring. And if you can't read it, listen to it, because I promise you will be able to listen to it. The person who reads the audiobook really makes it really smooth and really good. His flow is just fantastic. So please pick up this book. It's very good. I'm really excited. I just ordered Peter Newman's book called The Death List. This book has been out a while. I've been waiting for it to come up for an ebook, and I haven't seen it. So I finally decided to really look for it, and I have it ordered, and it's a real book, which is really exciting because I haven't had a real book in so long. I am always reading ebooks. I have my old Harry Potter books. Look at this. This is how many times this book has been read. But I don't have many real books, so I'm really excited about being able to hold a real book again. So I'm really excited about that one. I just got an email from Amazon. I think that he has released the second book now, so that'll be exciting to be able to read 2 of them. So they've got about the same type of lukewarm reviews as The Vagrant did, so I'm really hoping that it will be kind of the same type of book. So here's to hoping. And if you are interested, keep a lookout, because I'll have, once I get it and once I read it, I'll have a review up on that. So if you are still with me, I hope that you love this book as much as I did. Just please give it a chance. It is really fantastic. I'm really looking forward to more works by Peter Newman. He seems like he might really be an author that I will enjoy. So, alright, I will see you next time.